All right, so here's my conspiracy theory, another one. I think porn websites have been purposefully created as tools of entrapment. Like, I think they are creating an entire log of who everybody is. In the event that somebody becomes powerful in their life, then they have all of these porn websites that you visited. I truly think this, especially people who think their data is safe and they're constantly online. You can see how these websites like Pornhub are encouraging people to look at more frequent and also more disturbing types of porn. Like, essentially, they exist to pervert your tastes. And then I think people become more and more perverted. They hit weird links. And then in the background, you have people that are collecting that data so that if you ever make it in life, they can go, oh, but we caught you looking at this kind of porn. Now we control you. No matter what you think, I think we can all acknowledge now that pornography is a weapon of mass spiritual and political control. I don't care. Everyone got mad at me when I said months ago, ban porn. That's what I believe. It should be banned. And I believe that because I've looked into the history of it. Here's the reality. You can quite literally become a slave to your sin. A man has as many masters as he has vices. By the way, I wish I could take credit for that expression, but that actually came from St. Augustine in his book, City of God. He wrote, quote, "A good man, though a slave, is free, but a wicked man, though a king, is a slave, for he serves as many masters as he has vices." Think about that. If you have a vice and you think you're in control of that vice, you're really not. That vice is actually in control of you. And that is mentioned, St. Augustine's words is mentioned in this book that I'm holding. I think it's required reading for all men. It really looks into the history of pornography in our society. That's a book by Catholic author Dr. E. Michael Jones, and it's entitled Libido Dominandi, Sexual Liberation and Political Control. As I said, he traces how we arrived at this incredibly pornographic society that we live in today. I mean, do you even recognize everything is softcore porn? If you're on Instagram, if you're watching a woman and she's selling a Gucci bag, for whatever reason, she has to be naked. Have you ever asked yourself why? Why must she be naked in order to sell me this Gucci bag? Why must she have her boobs out in order to tell me to buy this perfume? And then if you explore your own mentality and you are one of the people that's going, oh my gosh, Candace, how could you say this about pornography? If you have that instant reaction, let me ask you this question. Who taught you that watching porn was a sign of freedom? Who taught you that nudity and pornography were expressions of freedom? Thinking about women and feminism, and they've got their boobs out when they're protesting. Who taught them that that was an expression of freedom? Really pause and think. When I paused and I thought about that, I went back to my high school health class, and I remember quite literally learning, as in it was like an answer to a test, that watching a little bit of pornography was healthy. I'm not kidding. We learned this in school, that watching a little bit of pornography is healthy. I can't even imagine what the kids are learning today. Like, it's a tool for education, as if that's supposed to be the natural way that men and women come together to have sex. Well, this book by E. Michael Jones offers the even darker history. And of course, it somehow brings us right back to the very perverted psychoanalytic community, the people who love Freud. Obviously, we're talking about sexualized children. If you're a person that believes Freud was a father of modern psychology, then you should ask a lot of questions about what modern psychology is and what its aims are. And I want to tell you guys this, you have not been liberated sexually. When you look around, you see everybody and they've got their boobs out, and girls that are selling their bodies on the internet, and women that are convinced that they're models, when in reality, they are kind of just prostitutes selling their bodies to make money, and convinced that they're somehow more glamorous because they're doing it within the pages of Vogue. Yeah, all of those people have been intentionally enslaved by pornography. But the question is, to what end? Well, as I told you, I think powerful people are being blackmailed, and I think they're being blackmailed all over the world. And I'm talking from royals to basketball and football players to singers to politicians to bankers, you name it, because pleasure is now the drug. Lust is the tool for domination, exactly what this book is about. And there has been no greater example of that recently than the Diddy case, which follows another explosive development yesterday. Now, let me tell you, it's been long suspected since it happened, since she died in, I would say, rather mysterious circumstances, that Diddy had something to do with the death of his ex-partner and the mother to his children. a woman named Kim Porter. Now, what happened was she mysteriously died of pneumonia at the age of 47. Not the typical way that a 47-year-old goes out, especially just when they are about to publish a tell-all book on their very famous ex, Diddy. But that's what happened to Kim. She died of pneumonia at the age of 47 years old. Well, guess what? It was just announced yesterday that Kim's Porter's book is being published. It's a 60-page book entitled Kim's Lost Words. It claims to be a collection of the diaries of Kim Porter, the mother of Diddy's children, and it was leaked by her friends. Now, the person who's publishing it is saying that he received a thumbnail from one of the friends who was very scared, and it is heavily implied they believe that Diddy had something to do with her death. In the book, Porter allegedly recounts discovering and making copies of the sex tapes that Diddy made of himself having sex with young boys that he was managing, including an alleged tape involving an 18-year-old pop star who went on to become a household name. Porter alleges that when she discovered those videotapes of Sean and his sexual encounters in the bedroom in this vault, she made copies of them as protection for herself. Realized that this is a very dangerous situation. I'm going to make copies for protection for myself, and included it as a part of her plan to leave him. But the memoir says that when she watched back the tapes, she was so shocked because there were things, quote, some of the tapes had things I would have never expected. The gay parties are one thing, but the young boys, like the two hip hop stars formerly managed by Diddy and the then 18-year-old pop star, I would have never known. The book publisher is claiming that it was the friends that gave him this thumbnail, the friends that provided this memoir. The friends also provided copies of these alleged sex tapes so that he knew that it was legitimate. And the final entry of the memoir from Kim Porter, before she mysteriously got pneumonia and didn't survive it as a 47-year-old, is her dramatically telling her friends, quote, he got me, and then calling 911. So this is getting very interesting. And what has come on the heels of this is people unearthing videos of Justin Bieber at Diddy parties. Now, Justin Bieber was obviously extremely young when he entered the industry, extremely innocent when he entered the industry, an industry that he did not quite understand as a boy who just knew how to sing and play the guitar and just did both of those things on YouTube. And then he was scooped up, and suddenly he was a part of people like Diddy going after him and saying, hey, man, why don't you pick up my phone calls? There's actually a video of that. Diddy and Justin Bieber looks to be like 15 years old and said, why aren't you picking up my phone calls? And he's like, oh, I know you were trying to contact me through people and I don't have your number. And the next thing we know, Justin is at Diddy's parties. And in this one video, it looks like whatever Justin is doing, and I'm not going to show it out of just respect for the fact that I truly believe that Justin Bieber is a victim. But whatever he is doing in this video with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looks highly suspicious. I can show you a still from that video because I think the relevant part is Justin Bieber is not sober. He is clearly very heavily under the influence at this party. And if you remember that lawsuit that the producer Rodney dropped against Diddy, he said that unbeknownst to all of these people, they were being drugged at Diddy's parties, that they were pouring out the liquor bottles and replacing it with other drugs. He kept speaking about this pink drug, this mix, this cocktail of cocaine and MDMA, and that people that think they're just drinking vodka or just drinking water are actually all being drugged. And then once they're drugged, they do very vulnerable things.